Let's go.
皆さんこんにちは。
He's back.
ゼルダの伝説シリーズプロデューサーの青沼です。ゼルダの伝説 Tears of the
One month
Kingdom の
left
発売まで
until the
あと
launch
1ヶ月
Tears
と
of
な
the
りま
Kingdom.
す。地上から空まで途切れることなく一
In
つ
this
につなが
vast,
った
seamlessly
広
world
大な世界
that
で
connects the surface and the sky
皆
and
さんも
underground,
こ
maybe?
んなことできるかなが思う存分楽しめる。そんな未知なるハイラルをご体験い
It's
ただ
not
ける
long
まで
until you can
もう
experience
間
this
もなくです。
unfamiliar Hyrule.
私も皆さんがどんな風に
I
この
was
世
very
界を
excited
冒
to
険して
see
くれ
how
る
you'll
の
explore
か
this world.
今から本当にワク
Me
ワク
too.
しています。さて、今日は発売前の
Today
最
we've
後となる
prepared
トレーラ
the
ー映
final
像をご用
trailer
意いたしました。
before the game's launch.
それではご覧い
Alright
ただ
then.
きましょう。
Let's take a look. Please enjoy. This is what we've been waiting for. We are in the skies. And that looks beautiful already. Goddamn. You see Choo-Choo is on the Sky Island fighting a construct. Interesting. So the construct is probably protecting the Sky Islands. Damn. Tears of the Kingdom. It's real, it's coming. Beautiful. Oh, we get a better shot of Kakariko. Hateno has changed drastically. The castle is being rebuilt. Beautiful shot of the new shrine. What is this place? Typhlo Ruins? A new Sky Island, the storm over Hebra. Arbiter's crowns are rising up? Is that what's happening? The Sheikah are witnessing... Ganondorf. A lot is happening. This... Okay. Where... What the... What was that? What was that? What was a giant castle? The NPCs were fighting? Who? I'm shaking. Dude, my hands are shaking like... Is it Zelda? It is.
We rely on your knight and that legendary sword he carries.
Dainslev.
Our last line
Right?
of defense
From
will be
Genshin?
Link.
I think it's him. She looks beautiful.
Link.
I think it is. It is, right? That's the orb. Wait, who was that? Was it Rivali? No way, right? Doesn't make sense. It looked like he had the Great Eagle Bow. I was a small read, so never mind. What is going on, dude? What is that?
I know.
Oh,
why
she
I am
looks so
here.
good, goddamn.
It's something only I can do.
A tear.
Do not look away.
Linus.
You witness a king's revival and
Oh,
the
God.
birth of his new world.
Okay, rehydrated, but in a different way. Wait, who was that? Riju?
But you are not alone.
Sidon? Fighting with her? Dude, what is even going on?
You are our final hope.
Okay, this will be a 6-hour stream. Oh, this will be a 9-hour stream.
Link. You must find me.
What? Huh? What do you mean? I'm not gonna make big story predictions. I tried, but not only do I not want to spoil things unintentionally, but I also, it's just way too uncertain. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a quick analysis of what we figured out in the new Tears of the Kingdom trailer that we just watched. Other than the fact that I gasped multiple times about the music. Now, we see a shot of the Sky Islands, which in the past has been referred to as the Sacred Realm. For a reason that I'll go into later, I think that is less likely now, and it's instead an ancient version of Hyrule being kind of like recalled or brought back into existence. I'll talk about why in a bit. But we also see a soldier construct fighting a Choo-Choo, which kind of confirms the theory before that the soldier constructs are not specifically after Link, but they might just be protecting this area. Now here we see a ranger construct with an axe hitting a tree. This is the first time we see it kind of do anything, and then we see probably the best moment of the entire trailer. It's just a musical timing that does it for me. We also see what we previously thought of as the Sky Plateau, with a shrine that's presumably not completed yet because we still see the swirl around it. And this shot right here is going to be pretty crucial later on. I'm going to go back to it and this platform in a more like comparison style, but just keep in mind that this platform, in my opinion, is a pretty big reveal. We see Link dive down even further. We also see that he actually has 4 tier vials, is what most people refer to them now at this point, making it seem like this is a pretty progressed game state. Again, that is kind of confusing though, because we see swirls on the plateau shrines, or like great plateau shrines as he's diving down. Not sure if there's like a setup shot. All I can say is that we see 4 the tier vials. Big overworld shot of Hyrule. I haven't really looked at every single location. We can see the mural on Lake Hylia here, more Sky Islands. And then a big musical climax. And the logo. Link is opening the paraglider quite high up here. Not sure what he's doing, but let him cook. Now, this transition, we see it's pretty close to the Vago Kata Shrine, which is actually at the Riverside Stable. The shrine is exactly in the same position, and I'm just going to continue to call these structures here shrines. Not sure what they actually are or how they will work from a gameplay perspective, but it seems like a lot of them are almost at the exact same spot that they were in Breath of the Wild. Also a shot of Kakariko there, and then a shot of Hateno, which now seems to have a new obsession with mushrooms. Not only do we see these mushroom type like lamps, but we also see a person who's wearing a mushroom hat. In general, hats seem to be in fashion right now. We can actually see a bunch of NPCs later wearing hats, another mushroom hat over here, and even the store seems to now sell mushroom type clothing. The general store is still there. Can't really see if the dye shop is still in the same location or if it's still functional. Let's hope it is, so we get to have more armor. Now, what's interesting here is that we see this tower on Mount Lanayru again, and somebody pointed this out in the past, but there's actually another shot later without the tower. So that could suggest that these towers actually come out of the ground when we get there. Gameplay-wise, we are not sure. Even the banner has changed here to feature mushroom heads. Now here, Link with the green tunic is exploring the outskirts of Hyrule Castle. There's some tents here with weapons. It doesn't really look much different compared to Breath of the Wild. It doesn't really look like it's been reconstructed. And I don't know if the castle is flying at this point. Probably. But these castle outskirts might still be explorable. Again, this is what I was talking about. We actually see Mount Lanayru in the background here without the tower. Making it seem like they can actually be activated and come out of the ground. Now this is a beautiful shot. Also, again, it's going to be amazing musically. Of Kakariko for the first time. We see a shrine which has basically just switched sides. In Breath of the Wild, it was on the right side. Now it's on the left side here, kind of over Impa's house. This, to me, looks like a fallen Sky Island that just happened to fall into the mountain this way. We see a different version of this ring over here. If there's any gameplay elements to it, I'm not sure. This is what I meant with the very nice chord progression, but we see a camera zoom coming out of Typhlo Ruins. This was previously observed by people watching previous trailers. They don't seem to be murky and dark anymore. At this point, it would already be dark if you went into Typhlo Ruins that way. Probably an important location, given its Zonai architecture that's featured in and around it. We can actually see Link coming out of it and see a new kind of like type of sky island in the top right here. It almost looks like a pyramid, something that we haven't really seen in that way. Also, we get a reveal of the big storm in Hebra here, where we finally get a better look into later. Now here, I tried to pinpoint this location exactly. This seems to be around the Arbiter's Grounds, which is a location that many people have highlighted in Breath of the Wild. This ruin here kind of tripped me off because I thought this looks like and this is actually pretty interesting even from a lore perspective. If this is a sky island that fell down, it looks very ruined. This location definitely is not in Breath of the Wild. People would have found it. This is the exact Zonai architecture we see everywhere, so this is new, but it seems kind of broken. Maybe it came out of the sand, similar to the thing that's about to rise here. We see another shrine here in the Gerudo Desert, little highlight on that. And then there seems to be this huge structure coming out of the ground. I think it's interesting to say that we haven't seen Gerudo Town in general, and even in this white shot in the desert, it doesn't seem to be present right now. Could just be camera perspective, but it is interesting. Now, this is a huge structure, could be something of a dungeon. We'll have more hints towards potential dungeons later. Now, this is an amazing shot. We see Hyrule's castle in the sky, and many of these I guess Sky Island things fall down. This could be where the Sky Island thing in Gerudo Town, not Gerudo Town, Gerudo Desert came from. And then we get this amazing wide opening shot of the Sheikah at the top of Kakariko observing this happening. The castle is up in the sky. These pieces are falling out of the sky now, but what's really interesting to me about this shot is that the Sky Islands themselves are actually not really present yet, or at least you can't see them. So it's kind of like that these pieces just randomly fall out of the ground, the Sky Islands eventually materialize, and this green energy here seems to be very related to time shenanigans. We'll see more later. I go more into detail. Also, we get a platform here, similar to the ones we've seen in the previous trailer where we speculated maybe you can get vehicle parts here, or you can rebuild your house or houses or ruins on these locations. Now the trailer's going to speed up here. Lots of things will be happening, and I'm going to make the claim that I am in the believer camp that this person here is Demise. That is what I'm getting from this shot. Comparing him to Ganondorf and even the official art of Ganondorf that Nintendo has posted, just the hair, the overall like the scaly nature of this creature, and the perfect shot that like cuts away here when you're about to see his face. I think this is Demise, who now has been freed because the Master Sword is broken, which Demise was sealed in. Perfect cutaway here when the face is turning away. People are saying in chat right now that this is Mummy Ganon, and you can see one frame of his face. I disagree personally, but it could still be the case. It just is giving the mice vibes to me, the way his hair works as well. And actually, what I'm realizing right now, which would make much more sense, is, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit because I said I'm not going to make big spoiler, not spoiler, story claims here. To me, it seems like we get two versions of each of our heroes in this game. We get the new and ancient champions, we get new and ancient versions of Link and Zelda, and this could be basically the ancient version of Ganondorf, which makes sense from a lore perspective. The origins from Ganondorf are essentially the mice, so if we see the ancient version of Ganondorf here in the mice, that's maybe why they look so similar as well. That would check out. Now this next shot has changed, and it's something we've seen multiple times. We see Link dive after Zelda when they find the mummified Ganondorf in some ruin, but some detail is drastically different now. And we have seen in a different shot that the green hand at this point reaches out to save Link. We can definitely see Zelda falling down, but the detail that has changed is that we see yellow energy kind of like appearing. This yellow energy shows up later in the trailer. It showed up every time in relevance to the recall ability. And given the context of this trailer, I am going to make the claim that this is Zelda being recalled or being saved or being basically separated from Link and somehow traveling into the past. this is an interesting shot. We see a wide shot of the Gerudo Desert and some ruins in the back here. Around here should be where the Misai Zuma Shrine is. This is where the Heroine statues are. And in this like rough area is where Gerudo Town is, but there is a sandstorm here, so we can still not see it. We do see another cleared shrine here and some interesting looking malice clouds on the right, and a completely new mural that we have not seen before. Now this shot had me freaking out because it looks like a humongous underground cavern, potentially inside or under Death Mountain, with a huge castle built into the stone, giving a lot of dungeon vibes once again. These beautiful flying ships that are giving some Rito relevance here. Not only does this seem to be around the big storm in Hebra, but these ships essentially have beaks and the boat oars resemble feathers. So are these ancient Ritos coming to save the kingdom? Why can the ships fly? We don't know. Another big shot here is Link jumping into this water bubble. We can actually see him having an underwater swimming animation. This does not necessarily confirm underwater exploration, but this in general being a thing, it could just be his normal swimming animation being played in the bubble, is interesting. What's happening with the bubbles here? We get a better shot of this area later. It's not clear, but presumably he has to get from one bubble to another. There seems to be some sort of parkour section. Very interesting shot. The only location that I could think of that has this huge underground hole is the Yiga hideout. But how would these Zonai Lotus/egg lamps have gotten here? And why is there so many lasers? This could just be a completely new location. Also, obviously worth pointing out that Link has a wingsuit that he's using to kind of maneuver through them. Now, this is inside one of these huge orbs. I still don't know if there's only one or multiple of them. Not only do we get another one of those gacha ball machines that we've seen on the Great Sky Plateau, potentially before, but we can also see Link being able to move the opening of this orb around. What this essentially does for us in game is unclear, but we can definitely see Link moving that opening around. Right here, we see Link in one of the Zonai mazes. They have definitely changed. We are assuming that they're at least partially now flying. It's unclear which maze this is. In terms of the shape, this looks the most like the Gerudo maze to me, but it's not clear. Now Link is wielding a new Zonai type spear and is going to battle. This is our first look on Black Bokoblins with some sort of like trident looking horn. And not only do we see Link fighting here, but we actually see NPCs fighting here, like this Reddit user with the fedora going into battle. But even other NPCs here with different weapons fighting against the onslaught with different heads seem to be prevalent a lot. A farmer's head here, a pot, and this is obviously taking place at Fort Hateno. Now this shot is interesting. Link is going up a very big elevator. The detail that's interesting here is that Link is having the spool attached to him and a Sheikah slate in hand, which I unintentionally just spoiled you, but this is looking like a new Sheikah slate. It looks like the Nintendo Switch. It looks to be hooked up to this spool and Link is going up. We've seen in the previous trailer, these Guardian arms attach this spool to Link, so this could be playing immediately after. This elevator seems to be quite big though. Now we get a big reveal of a new mysterious character. And not only one mysterious character, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, but also essentially people in the back. This right here seems to be a Rito. Not only are they wielding the Great Eagle Bow, which is the champion weapon from the Rito, but also they basically have like claws, right? The outfit on this person on the back here is making me think of a Gerudo warrior. And I can't really tell what fraction this person is from. But to me, this is basically looking like some sort of ancient... It could be the sages, it could be ancient champions, it could be the Zonai given their actual like necklaces and stuff. Also, there's a very big resemblance between this person and the person from the first trailer. From the mural that's kind of like exchanging tears with Zelda, and I'm going to get into it a little bit more, but again, not too many story speculations here. But essentially we see some sort of like ancient looking race. One of them is definitely wearing the Great Eagle Bow, and that's a good point. It looks like they actually have a third closed eye on their forehead that is currently closed. This could also be a horn. I'm not sure if that's their nose. But we get this very angry shot of them. Also, one interesting detail which makes me think more about the champion theory is that we can clearly see malice particles in the air here. My vibe from the shot was maybe this is a showcase of the battle against the Calamity 10,000 years ago. Again, pure speculation. Now, one interesting detail about this shot, when I first saw this live, I thought this was Mount Satori because of the tree in the back that I unintentionally just got rid of. This cherry blossom tree is only on Mount Satori in Breath of the Wild, but you can actually see the cliff where the Muvojim Shrine is in Breath of the Wild, and also Eventide Island in the back. So this cherry blossom tree is new. This is actually close to where one of those hard lakes is. So maybe these trees have now sprouted in other locations. Not sure what like repercussions this has, if these are also going to be important places to go to, but this tree is definitely new in that location. Here we see a new construct enemy that we have not seen kind of like emerge out of the wall. The interesting detail here is that we see a very dark background around the structure. I have thought at first that this is in the big structure we see on the sky plateau, given the way its ceiling is shaped. But the fact that it's so extremely dark makes me think this is either underground or in something like Typhlo Ruins, where there's just no light, like in Breath of the Wild. I don't know if this is going to be a boss fight, this test of strength type thing, but definitely a pretty impressive looking enemy, potentially enemy coming out of the wall here. This to me was the shot that confirms time travel, memories, or flashbacks first in some sort of way. We see Link turn around and we see the Sanctum of Hyrule Castle, very similar to appearance to the time when Link was being made a champion. The king was having a speech here and the champions were gathered around. We've seen the outskirts of Hyrule Castle and they did not look in good shape. So this does not look to me like a present Hyrule, but Link seems to be in the present. He has the tear vial. You can actually see if you slow it down, his arm is different. And you see his new shield as well. Additionally, you see these particles flying around him that look very similar to the particles that show up when Zelda is falling down into the chasm, potentially being like recalled. So again, pretty impactful shot. Now here we see Zelda, which we now know is Zelda, is in front of this well structure. In the previous trailer, where we only saw Zelda's dress, you could actually see this sort of well structure in the back. It's unclear if it's in the same location, but this sort of well structure seems to be a common theme, or seems to be somewhat important. At least it shows up twice.
Zelda.
We also hear a voice here, and we see a new character showing up in a little bit. My claim is that the voice talking here is not the character that shows up a little bit later in the shot, just because of how they refer to as Link. I will make this a little bit more clear, but this voice, Zelda. I claimed it to be Dainslev from Genshin Impact. It's actually Ayato from Genshin Impact. Chris Hackney. I kind of got confused there, but I definitely knew that voice was familiar. Not sure, since it's a pretty major voice actor, I would assume they play a major role, but we are not sure. Also known as Dimitri from Fire Emblem Three Houses.
That legendary sword he carries.
Now here we see a shot of the Master Sword, definitely not broken, and Link grabbing it from Korok Forest, which also seems to be present. He's also basically, the voice is talking about how Link is our last line of defense, our last hope, and the Master Sword. Now, I just think in terms of appearance, that voice doesn't really match this character a lot, but it could still be. It could still be. And we see Zelda talk to them. Now, one crazy claim that I have already kind of made, that somebody pointed out in chat as well, what I think was done interestingly is when this person touches Zelda on her shoulder, it's almost like she's remembering something. If you look at her reaction, like her eyes are about to widen and her mouth is opening, kind of like she's remembering something, and then she just happens to say Link. What's interesting to me there is because clearly this person has the same bracelet and arm that Link has. Maybe she feels like this touch is reminding her of Link, kind of hinting towards that this could potentially be an ancient version of Link, an ancient hero. This is unclear right now in pure speculation, but I did want to bring it up.
Link.
We're cutting over to Link on his new glider. This is the thumbnail of the trailer, flying through the Sky Islands. I talked about yesterday in my channel what I think this glider could be used for. Maybe it's a Zonai construct bringing Link to points of interest instead of being able to freely control it. I think that would power creep things like the paraglider and Ultra Hand vehicles too much, but we'll see. Here we see Link using a shield fused to a sword, in fact a royal shield and a royal claymore, using it to parry, so being able to block with the claymore. Pretty interesting. We get a shot of the orb I speculated about a little bit. We get these Zen Garden, Zonai looking patterns on it and an opening, which is why I said earlier we saw a shot from inside it. That's not the most interesting part about the shot though. In fact, this is our first open shot over Zora's domain, and we can clearly see that the East Reservoir Lake and even the rivers around the area seem to be much more brown and muddy and dark compared to the clear waters around. This makes you think like these waters are somewhat corrupted by some sort of like black tar, which we'll get into more later. We actually see a potential place where this is originating from. Here we see, in my mind, a Goron. It's unclear to me if this is Yunobo. I saw like a little bit of a blue hint here, but that's hard speculation. The pattern here looks different, but we see Gorons over here. I don't know if this is some sort of like wrestling challenge, but it does seem to be some sort of Goron. I actually have never paused on this frame where there seems to be some sort of like chain around them. And I don't know if they're fighting Link here or attacking, but it is interesting. Not exactly sure what's going on here. We can see the Stone Smasher weapon combined or fused with a Moblin, blue Moblin horn here, which is the other interesting detail about this scene. Now here we see Link and presumably Teba's son fly up close to the storm in Hebra. This is an interesting shot as well, because Teba's son did seem, I think Tulin is his name, a little bit younger in Breath of the Wild, suggesting that there's some time between the games, confirming things like the potential season change and a small time jump at the start of the game. He's wielding a falcon bow here, which is an interesting detail for later. We can also see these flying ships appear again around the storm in the spire. They are both jumping up. Now, interestingly, we get this blue time energy around Tulin here again that I'm not going to get into too much, again, because I'm not going to be too speculative on the story, but you can see that here around him. Another interesting shot where Link is basically pulling a carriage that is presumably a built with Ultra Hand around, giving these platforms a little bit of another interesting potential use. Maybe there's some sort of escort missions where you have to bring around NPCs to kind of organize the battle against Ganon in on the kingdom. Maybe this is where you build these carriages and pick up these NPCs, maybe drive them from stable to stable. Maybe this is some sort of side quest, fetch quest. Hopefully, as somebody, Skelski just pointed out in chat, this is a better escort mission than the ones before that nobody really liked in Breath of the Wild. An explosive Ogtorok attacking Link here, and I had already theory crafted that these guys might potentially be used in Tears of the Kingdom to fuse explosive items. Link uses Recall on the orb and sends it right back at him. Additionally, we see a big cave entrance here behind some sort of trek-looking spot, and this seems to be around Death Mountain, maybe one of the entrances inside to the big area we've seen earlier. Now a huge shot here. We are on Eventide Island. This will become clear more later, and Link has a jetpack. Something funny is that I actually talked about the potential of a jetpack literally a little bit ago in my new paraglider theory video on LimQ+. This seems to be a construct weapon that Link has fused to his shield. Additionally, we can see some sort of new shield here that looks somewhat like a Guardian shield, where some energy is coming out of some Zonai-looking shield. That seems to be his fusion. I don't know how long you can use this rocket for. It is interesting to say that it starts blinking green towards the end here, so maybe you can't use it that much, but definitely pretty cool ability. Again, this is on Eventide. You can kind of see the Lurline area in the back, and in terms of the island, it just like makes sense. There's also a tent here. Not sure if this is an enemy tent or a friendly tent. Eventide probably has a different purpose now, and it's not going to have the same challenge for you. Now, this is the second part of that parkour section I talked about earlier. There is, once again, some sort of black tar dropping out of this structure. We see these water balls here. So again, this to me seems like a big parkour section. Now Link is doing these slow down jumps with these Zonai platforms to eventually reach potentially the end. There is another waterfall coming though, so maybe he has to go even higher to reach the top of whatever this is. Even this black tar goo is still dropping down here, potentially corrupting the waters of Zora's domain. But we'll get a better shot of what I think is the very top of it in a bit. Now we get another shot of the probably interior of Death Mountain, or at least somewhere in Eldin. These two cards have fans attached to them. I would guess that these fans already are attached to the minecarts to start with. In my mind, it makes no sense otherwise that Link would attach a fan to this enemy construct. It is interesting that these constructs also seem to be around the surface. We've seen this before, but even in a potential dungeon this time. Link is fighting it as they both drive on the track. Now we see Link wielding a tank of some sorts on a new kind of, I mean, with a new kind of outfit on. It's like very like Aztec inspired, which a lot of people have pointed out in the past what a lot of the Zonai seem to be inspired by. So that's definitely interesting. The one thing that stood out to me here is that this cannon that is attached to it here, its horn reminds me a little bit of Farosh, the way it's shaped, but it could also just be a construct horn, which we've seen shaped in a similar way before. But Farosh just happens to be a horn kind of shaped like this in yellow. He is going into battle against a Talus camp on top, some Bokoblins, and this is around the Akala bridges. The rest of the main is in the back. Also beautifully done how the voices here match the music again. We get another shot of Link riding with a fused ruby arrow. The fire that's being drawn into here is very big, so I'm assuming this is a stronger version of the fired Chuchu fuse arrow. I would really like to see the explosion that happens when you do shoot it, as a ruby, is pretty valuable. Also, Link has some sort of horn mask on and a new, almost samurai-themed outfit. The horse here also seems to, this horse almost seems to have slightly changed, and this is in the wetlands area. This shot is very interesting to me because if Link really built this contraption on the other side here, I'm wondering how long it takes to build something like this, or if this is a pre-existing sort of thing that fell out of the sky. He's essentially activating a laser contraption, clearing out the entire camp, so this is definitely a very interesting one. I wonder if this was actually built. In this next shot, we see a continuation of presumably Link and Tulin reaching the top of the spire, where we see some sort of portal almost. And to me, and I will still say it even though my chat said there's no way, Lim, I'm still gonna say it just in case I'm right. This looks to be some sort of Molduga dragon enemy, but it did remind me of the Great Hebra skeleton, simply because it is in Hebra, and the bones of it are somewhat resemblant of it, but that might not be the case. Interesting again, Tulin has the blue energy, Link has some sort of blue energy on his armor, and this to me looks like a portal that's being opened, this dragon is attacking from, but we can't really say for sure. We get another shot again of Malice exploding, that we are not exactly sure about what this is. We got a similar shot like this before, and it still doesn't really tell us anything, but it's definitely interesting. In the next shot we see Zelda holding a tear.
I know why I am here.
She knows why she's here.
It's something only I can do.
And it's something only she can do. And what's interesting about this is that it seems to be that the recall icon is basically etched into this tier. It also has the same yellow color. This tier shows up at multiple sections later, getting a little bit confusing. But again, not going to go into story speculation too much. Right here, we see what I'm assuming
I can do
is the mummified version of Ganon with the cloth on, raising its arms, having Malice shoot out of him. This Malice is zooming into the sky, causing some sort of reaction, almost opening some sort of portal here. We see more Malice dropping down in the Hebra region, or at least in the snowy region close to, I would say, Rito village. And our first shot of Lynels. This time there's different types of Lynels. Some of them have antlers. One of them has some sort of horn crown. This guy seems to have a crazy long, like, katana longsword. While this guy seems to still wield a crusher.
You witness a king's...
Let's hear what Ganondorf has to say about this.
Way, you witness a king's revival.
You're witnessing a king's revival as the Malice is attacking Link and the
And
Master
the
Sword.
birth of his new world.
And the birth of his new world. Now,
Of his new
what I found interesting here is we can see 2 shots of the background here of Ganondorf being reincarnated or something.
world.
It is interesting where this is located, though, kind of potentially making sense of what I talked about earlier with the mice and Ganondorf potentially both being in the game. The section where the mice, basically, in my mind, shows up seems to be different from this location, because this location we can see in this next cut, I actually missed it, is at the Great Plateau. You can see a cliff, Mount Satori, and the Colosseum area around here, and even a shrine in the back where the Rota O shrine used to be at the outskirts stable. So this seems to be basically on top of the Shrine of Resurrection. Not sure why Ganondorf is here. His hair is now very different and he's kind of like rehydrated as we all hoped. He looks great. There's great art of him on Twitter wielding a pretty cool looking sword. We are all glad he's back. In this shot, we are probably inside the Black Tar Goo area / dungeon. There's some sort of creature coming literally out of nowhere, attacking Link and then basically transforming into a big puddle. Another shot of Tulin and Link attacking the storm basically makes it look like it's him and Teba in Breath of the Wild. They're cooperating, diving into the storm. We can just quickly glance over this shot as it's obviously super significant. Now, again, without super big story speculation, the main reason I do not think this person is Zelda and somebody drastically different is the ears. If this was Zelda after a long time or some old version of Zelda, I do not really see how the ears would grow so much. It is still possible. They seem to wear the recoil tier here, but in terms of story, I'm not exactly sure what's happening. They seem to be firing a very powerful laser, which does make me, excuse me, it does hint me more into the direction of it potentially being Hylia, because that person seems very powerful. But again, that's too speculative for now. Seems to be an important person. Literally blasting these Moldugas miles away. An interesting shot here from Riju. She's holding 2 scimitars at once. If we get champion weapons again, and I will elaborate this a little bit more because she seems to be using an ability here, these dual-wielded scimitars could be our first form of dual-wielding a weapon. Would be extremely cool. Not sure if this is going to end up being the case. But what we see here is something that looks like Urbosa's Fury, but not quite. Maybe Riju has developed her own version of Riju's Fury, a new champion ability that we might be obtaining throughout the game. Maybe it's even tied to the new champion weapons. In this next shot, we see a Goron, a Gerudo, Hylians, and Link all working together, riding into battle. I'm still not sure if there's sections in the game where you can actually plan the defense against the, not the Calamity, but the new threat. But they seem to be preparing for battle. Lots of amazing saxophone music happening as well. Now, Link is next to Sidon on presumably the Black Goo dungeon / challenge peak. We can see a better shot of this later. A presumably level 2 or level 3 construct is battling the two here. Again, Sidon has the blue energy around him and is using the light scale trident. What makes this interesting to me is that Sidon seems to be behaving almost like some sort of summon. Maybe it's possible to summon the champions to fight with you, giving some Elden Ring vibes, because he's literally in battle. Exactly, Crazy. There is some sort of source here that is shooting this goo. This seems to be the actual origin of the goo. And the tail here does hint towards some sort of like Zora's Domain design, even the way the stone is looking. So I think this is on top of Zora's Domain. Maybe the ancient version of Zora's Domain. I'll get into this big reveal more later, but maybe this is how Zora's Domain used to look, now up in the sky, and for some reason shooting black tar or goo into the kingdom, polluting the lakes and waters. Link and the champions are in an interesting location here. It seems to be quite dark. We can't really say for sure where this is, but the interesting detail to me here, we paused on it perfectly, is that not only Sidon seems to have a tier, but Tulin seems to have a tier as well. But not only, well, actually, we can see that this is Tulin here. Some people said maybe this is Teba. It is interesting that he is wielding the Great Eagle Bow now. He was clearly wielding the Swallow Bow earlier, but now he's wielding the Great Eagle Bow. Not sure if he got it. Maybe Teba has a different role in Rito Village now, and because he is ready, he is now allowed to use the Great Eagle Bow. This could be one possible explanation. Now Link has a fused weapon and is about to fight Gilliok. This fused weapon reminds me of the big enemy that Tulin and him were facing in the snowstorm, and it seems to be some sort of ice weapon fused to his stick or sword. And pretty good shot of Gilliok potentially here, with 3 Malice Eyes looking like a very threatening enemy. In previous shots, you can actually see that this is still on the bridge of Hylia. The structures on the side match, so this is where this fight might take place.
You are our final.
Now the very, very interesting and the big reveal is about to happen here is that Zelda is holding a uncorrupted version of the Master Sword in what we presume is the past, and this will make more sense later. Not only do we get this really cool audio drop here with a new version of the mural where we can clearly see Ganondorf kind of praising, it seems like, the Blood Moon, which in my opinion, I still believe that the true source of evil is the Blood Moon and Demise is related to it. Not gonna get into that too much yet. Very good audio again. Another thing that makes much more sense now is that the green energy on the Master Sword kind of creates a full Master Sword again, and we've seen this green energy being very much related to the past, at least with all of the other with the island pieces falling down and stuff. So maybe this stands for that the Master Sword is actually completed in the past, while it's obviously broken in the present. And then we see Zelda holding the Master Sword again, and this is the big reveal when she is saying what she's about to say.
Link, you must find me.
We must find her. And why do we have to find her? Because she's in the past. And this is basically clear to me now. They seem to be stuck in 2 different times. This is the one thing that I do want to say about the story for sure. And one other thing that makes this clear to me is the location we are looking at right now. I think Zelda right now is in the ancient version of Hyrule. A truly ancient version of Hyrule. If you look where she is, so you can see these dragon heads on this platform, this grave-looking thing, and you can kind of see Farron in the back and even the mountains around Lake Hylia. In the back, you can actually see the Gerudo Canyon being much, much higher than where Zelda is right now. This platform is the same platform than this platform. Here you can see the 2 dragon heads and waterfalls and what used to be 2 dragon heads on this side, but they are now broken off. You can also see the grave right here, and this is at the big sky plateau. But look at how much higher this platform is right now. Much, much, much higher. So what I'm thinking is that the Sky Islands are just literally what Hyrule used to be, but now flying over it, being recalled into it. Again, let's look at the 2 platforms. This is one side of the grave. There's 2 dragons here, one basically facing the long side, 2 presumably facing the short sides. We get the same shot here. Where the dragon head seems to be broken off. At least this one. But yeah, we can only speculate so much. At the same time, we've seen, I mean, I feel like at this point it's clear that Tears of the Kingdom is not just DLC. I think most people would agree with this. Actually, we can kind of pinpoint the exact location. I think this is where Zelda is standing on this side, looking at these 2 dragon heads. And the 2 broken off dragon heads are those ones. That would even make sense in terms of direction. But anyway, that's all of the speculation I'm going to do today. We're going to have to wait and play the game, guys. It's out in 1 month. Limq Plus is still going to be uploading videos every single day, going into theories more in depth, even story stuff. If you want to just chill now and don't play the game, I can absolutely understand if you're not going to be watching this channel anymore, because I'm going to go into more story speculation. And at this point, we've seen, I feel like, mostly of what we want to see. This is actually another great shot of seeing how low this part is, right? This part that Zelda is on. Like, look at the surroundings. It's not in the sky at all. And we can't see any kind of like hint of civilization. In fact, we can't even see any of the murals around. Again, making it seem like that this is definitely a different timeline. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching my analysis. Gonna be uploading every single day until the game comes out. Also gonna be streaming Breath of the Wild and speedruns. And thank you for watching.